Remember, your goodness as a person isn't based on how much you give in relationships. And it isn't selfish to set limits on people who keep taking. The people who keep taking are going to keep taking until there's nothing left to take. That comes in one of two ways. Either they've literally ran your cup dry, or you say stop. One of those two have to happen. I believe every single person listening to this, and I know with every single one of my clients, including myself, we became shells of ourselves. We literally gave everything of ourselves. We gave all of our love. We gave all of our time, our energy. I mean, we were emotionally drained. We were a desert. There was nothing there. And then they just continued to give us fake mirages of what's to come to kind of just see what else we could muster up in our cup to walk towards that mirage. And then they would take that too and be left to dry and dehydrated, and it'd be awful. And that's the cycle, right? Why do we continue to do that? So the reason I use the term jerk is because it's part of the book that I'm reading right now. The book I'm reading right now is called How to Avoid Falling in Love with a Jerk: The Foolproof Way to Follow Your Heart Without Losing Your Mind by John Van Epp. And I'll admit, when I first saw this title, I was like, okay, this is going to be a super fun one to listen to. And it's 9 hours. So, of course, it's my length here. And I started listening to it, and in chapter 3, they give this analogy. Now, I'm not done with the book. I'm about 6 hours left of reading it. But there's a story that says baby primates were performing a test. So they took these baby primate babies immediately and separated them immediately away from their moms after birth. And they kept them in isolation. So this test was about the physical touch. So although they were provided with food and warmth from a surrogate cloth mother, without touch, they all developed abnormal emotional needs. They were socially awkward, they were depressed, they were unable to give affection normally. Now, as kids, right? So now, primates aside, as kids, while we weren't necessarily immediately removed from our parents, emotionally, if our parents were emotionally stunted or narcissistic themselves or going through their own stuff and they weren't present and they were doing the best they could with what they knew at the time, we were starved. We were isolated in that sense as children of these parents. We were not given affection normally. And maybe we did from one, but not from the other, right? So that's where people have those quote unquote mommy issues or daddy issues, because you were emotionally starved. And we can't expect them to be perfect. There's a quote from Kerry Washington that says, at some point, we have to decide that we're going to finish raising ourselves. And I absolutely love that. And it really changed perspective for me, because all of this, being raised by emotionally immature parents, our mom or dad didn't give us this when we were younger, and they divorced however many times, and they remarried however many times, and they laid hands on me. None of that is to be excused of any of their behavior. And I am not minimizing anything that they have done. What I'm challenging you to do is to shift your narrative, to say that they were doing the best they could with what they knew at the time, regardless if we think they could have done better, because I want you to take 5 seconds to think of yourself as a parent. Well, I don't do that. I don't lay hands on my kids. I don't do that. Okay, but let me ask you this. How often are you on your phone? How often do you choose to, when your kids are watching, a movie and you're sitting on the couch with them and you're on your phone and they're watching TV, but you're not fully present? How often do you just snap at them because you're watching a reel, or because you're talking with someone, or because you have friends over and you guys are in conversation and your little one wants your attention and you snap? I mean, think of any kind of situation where you are not at your best, where you are human, okay? And this can get me in trouble, right? Not everyone wants to hear that, but I think it's important for us to, we can have that victimized mentality all we want, but it's only going to get us so far. We chose, from our parental standpoint, from where we were raised with those parents, right? This is where we have to kind of give compassion to them. We chose the better half of saying, I'm going to continue to be a good person and kind-hearted and wholesome and give myself and trust with everything that I've got and love unconditionally. We took all the best parts that we could. and we shoved those bad parts away because we didn't want anything to do with them. We chose the good. What we didn't learn was how to channel that good into finding it to its rightful owner of someone with a secured attachment style. What we did instead, more than likely, is we channeled it with someone that was a familiar love style that our emotionally immature parent gave us, because there was that need of still needing that attention. So I ask and challenge you, if you're a parent to your children, if you have children, are you showing up for them the best you can right now? And do you wish 10, 15, 20 years down the road that they give you grace and compassion for learning how to break generational trauma, for healing yourself, for breaking all of these molds, for going to all of the therapy and listening to the audiobooks and going on Instagram to listen to these reels, to listen to the self-aware narcissists talk about their perspective. But you're doing this while raising them, right? So you're doing better as you know better, but that's just it. You're doing better as you know better. Maya Angelou said that, right? Once you know better, do better. And that's the point. Now, here's the argument I know that I'm going to hear. Well, our parents still know better now and they're choosing not to do anything about it, right? They're choosing to keep their head in the sand. I personally believe, because I've heard it with my own 2 ears and seen it with my own 2 eyes from my own father, that he does not believe he was abused as a kid. He doesn't see that as abuse. He didn't see an alcoholic mom throwing shit at him from across the room because he said something as abuse. Well, I shouldn't have said that. No, she should not have thrown that. She's in control of her actions, her behaviors, not you. So I think they're still healing. Of course, they're still healing the healing that has to be done with our parents. But when you think of it as, okay, they're really legally binded to raise us until we're 18. And at that point, we take what we can and what we want to repeat and what we want to break within those 18 years. It's all learning. It's not, you were supposed to raise me into the person I was supposed to be at age 18. And from there, I'm supposed to, no. You're there for 18 years or less if you emancipate yourself or situations happen, right? I mean, there's totally a ton of different variables at play here. But let's just say standardly, you are there for 18 years and then you're on your own. You're on your own to say, okay, so this is the way my parents spoke to their siblings or how they had us come together with family. And I like how they did this part, but not how they did that part. This is how we make it our own. And this is where I wanted to find additional compassion for our parents. That doesn't mean you have to forgive them. That doesn't mean that what they did was okay. It doesn't mean you have to go back and try to fix a relationship that's been torn apart. I'm not saying any of that because I will be the first to admit I'm not going back. There's really nothing that could have me go back and try to build a relationship with my dad. And that is my choice. My choice. I can't blame him. I can blame him for what he did, but it's my choice for keeping the communication cut off. Take responsibility and accountability for your part in it. And we're actually really good at that. We're okay with accepting our responsibility of saying, well, this is what we did. It's the narcissist that will want to blame us. Well, I said I was sorry for everything. That's not an apology, bro. That's a blanket apology. I need specifics, and I need 35 years worth of specifics, so get going. Maybe that's petty. Maybe it's like, all right, give me 10 per decade. I just need specifics. I need you to at least just own up to the shit you did. And we need that even from our abusive partners. We need them to own up to the stuff they've done.